We're here live once again from the Gold and Silver Summit in beautiful downtown San Francisco, California. And I'm here with a new guy, or a new guy for me. I met Glenn at the Beaver Creek Summit.
Correct.
A year and a half ago. He gave me a story, Oceanus Resources. Good to talk to you. Good to
see you, Mickey, and it's going to be a great chat. I love it.
I think it will be. So, your project is in Northeast Sonora, and I've spent a lot of time working, back when I was a dumb field geologist, in northern part of Sonora, and you have a long history in Sonora too.
Correct. We've been there out of Halifax, Nova Scotia, a small place, east coast of Canada, but you know, we've been building some nice mines there for almost 20 years.
Right.
In Sonora.
Yeah, so give us you were Go Gold Resources.
Correct.
And you founded Oceanus about 2 years ago to the day, or not much different?
Not, right? a little longer than that, but took that company public. Full disclosure, I'm president and CEO, of course, of Oceanus, but trained as a securities lawyer. Love to build public companies, built the Go Gold company for that group, and then built this one really for Dave Duncan, and who was of Etruscan Resources, found a bunch of mines in Africa that ended up really being the key assets of Endeavour Mining. And when Dave came to me a couple of years ago, he said, Glenn, I'd like to have my own public company, let's build it. So we did, and Oceanus Resources came to be.
I'm glad you mentioned Dave. I was going to do that.
Yeah, Dave's a great geologist.
So the company's a little bit more than 2 years old, and or publicly listed. Listed on the Venture Exchange. Right. OCN is the stickers or the ticker symbol. You're also listed on the OTCQB.
Correct.
And what's that symbol?
It's OCN again, and OCN, OTCQB, and from my perspective, why we really wanted to do that is we wanted to have a little more disclosure there. So we went for the full QB listing, and I thought that maybe that's the securities lawyer me coming out.
I think that's important.
Put as much information out there for the shareholder or potential shareholder as you can, and that's why we chose that. So we're fully, it's easy to trade our stock in the United States too.
Yep. So 131 million shares outstanding.
Correct. Yeah.
Insiders I saw hold 11%.
Correct.
I think you told me you own 7%.
I own 7%.
You got skin in the game.
Absolutely.
And then you've got a pretty tight share structure with a bunch of good Halifax guys, right? Nova Scotia guys.
What happens when you're a little bit serial in doing these and building these mines in Mexico, Mickey, throughout the last 20 years, you get people that have done well in your transactions, in your public companies. And most of our shareholders, boy, the original ones are all that Halifax maritime base.
Yeah, so I haven't really mentioned yet, but your project's called LT Gray.
Correct.
Was previously held by Anaconda way back when, pre-Mexico mining law change in the 80s. They drilled a bunch of holes. LT Gray drilled a bunch of holes as a publicly listed Vancouver company. So that's the project. Before we get into that, though, I want to talk a little bit more about your share structure. You got 4.3 million warrants, or let me put that differently. I didn't quite say that right. $4.3 million of warrants at 23 cents.
That are in the money.
You're trading about 32 cents today.
Correct.
52-week high, low, 36 and 13, more or less.
Right.
So you've got these warrants that expire toward the end of the year, give you another infusion of $4.3 million.
What I really like about the warrants, Mickey, is that they're in very, very safe hands. I own a large number of those warrants, so I've been investing almost in every private place, and we've done along. I've always written a check, and some of our strong management team. So we really think that there's an opportunity there for us to have some of those exercised a little bit early and to give us some more fuel and take those off the table. That will happen.
And current cash positions about how much?
We're a little over $1 million right now, and we're executing our drill program. We'll talk about in a little bit, and we've got money to get us right into the new year, and then we'll raise some more and go from there and keep exploring this thing.
Cool. So I know you did 29,000 meters of drilling this summer. You posted a new resource, an initial resource on the LT Gray deposit, and I can say this, you really can't, but indicated and inferred total is about 1 million ounces of gold equivalent. I think about 2/3 of that would be indicated and about 1/3 inferred,
That's
but
correct.
that includes a couple of pits and some underground resources and some resources in tails.
Correct.
So looks like you need to grow this thing a bit more.
100%. And when we look, why we acquired the project, the LT grade project, it's the absolute size of this thing that attracted us, Mickey. It's 35 kilometers long, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Wow.
And really what we wanted, what we focused on in this resource drilling was a start. And what the start was, there was the old LT grade mine that was there.
Right.
That thing was a very high grade mine from about 1900 to 1930, American mine. They took about $1.5 billion worth of very high grade gold and silver out of that thing. And it was 70 million ounces of silver and 350,000 ounces of gold. Why we really liked this is we knew that we could drill a resource around that old depleted mine, real good 4, 5, 600,000 ounces as a nice starter pit, and that's all that was. Why we acquired the project was outside that 1.5 kilometers north and south. The average grade of that mine, Mickey, was over 1.5 kilograms silver equivalent per ton that came out, and all that metal was delivered from. So that was the exciting part for us.
So 40 ounces, more than 40 ounces of silver, and the way I calculate, about 1/4 of an ounce of gold. That's high grade.
That's very high grade.
Very high grade.
So what we wanted, that was a clavos. That was an ore shoot, as we call it, a clavos in Mexico. All we wanted to do was to get to the north and get to the south, especially to the north, the next 3 or 4 kilometers. The veins continued. The key though was they hadn't been mined.
Right.
And so that's really what we've done is we took the first year, wasn't sexy, if I can use that word. We took a $5.75 million bought deal financing from Canada. We drilled that resource out, and as of June of this year we're in now, only 1 year into the project exploring, delivered the resource.
That's pretty quick.
That's done. Now, what we've been doing since June is to the north, and that's where it's getting really exciting on these veins that continue. And I'd love to talk, we can explore that a little bit more.
So from what I know, looking at your website, you've really focused on a 6 kilometer link.
Correct.
On either side of the 1.5 kilometers that was mined historically. And you've got something on the order of 6 major targets there that you've been working on, mapping and sampling, some really high-grade channel samples underground. But I know you've figured out, your geologists figured out some structural intersections that are really starting to look important here.
So around, before we get to that, what we did with the old LT grade mine, we drilled the resource over, is to the south, we stepped out 2 holes in the last of our program in June of this year, and we hit some nice mineralization, two 250-meter step-out holes at Gold Hill. We've left that alone. We didn't get any credit for that in the resource estimate. We'll go back and fill that in later. But really what we did, which told us we were correct when we thought if we acquired this, we'd find more. Look, we're looking for more of those clavos like the old mine. And why we thought we were right is the last hole of the program in June of this year, we stepped out 800 meters to the north.
That's a big step
That's a big step out. And the guys delivered a hole which basically the highlight was about 1 meter of 7.3 kilos of silver and 37 grams per ton gold, and very, very high percentages in the base metals, in the copper, the lead, and the zinc. And why that was important? Because if that wasn't mined up there, if you've gone back to that old mine, Mickey, the old timers were taking, that's what they were after. And so we knew we were on the right track. After that, we spent July and August and really focused on those 3.5 kilometers to the north. And as we got our geos out there, the drill was off-site then, it's back drilling now, we started to find all kinds of exploration adits, all kinds of workings in these veins, and basically what was so exciting about that, when we get in underground, and there's a couple of press releases on our website, just grade across all these openings across the 3 kilometers. So we were very buoyed by that. That leads into what you asked me about, just to give the background, was the intercepts. Why we had the old LT grade mine was we had great plumbing, that LT grade structure, and we had the main LT grade vein, which was mined, intercept a second vein, which was mined, called the Sites Kelly. And that intersection is really where they came together.
Every good geologist knows
you know that,
yeah,
you know. I'm not going to pretend to be a geologist, but I'm telling you,
structural intercept,
very structural intercept, and really that was what we were looking for to the north. And when we drilled that hole, which was 144, we discovered the Cayley vein. No one had ever found that one. It hadn't been named.
Named after your daughter.
Named after my 13-year-old daughter, Mickey. I don't know if you had a 13-year-old daughter, but I'm going to tell you, they're hard to impress. So a dad will do anything. So naming that vein after her was one thing I had to do. But we've now mapped that vein. for 700 or 800 meters. It sits in between the continuing veins to the north, which we're not knowing about, and actually to the north it intercepts Protectora, and we think as we map it and sample it more, it could intercept Fundadora. What that's telling us, Mickey, is we've got a potential, and it's in the same LT grade structure, for a clavos creation or another high-grade ore shoot to be created. Not proven yet, but we're pretty excited to get that drill in there.
And I've looked at it, so you've got 6 kilometers you focused on, but also on your website you show there's a long trend, you know, of occurrences, probably little mines and diggings and such. On this same structure, it's now 13 kilometers in strike length.
That's right.
Now, so
actually, Mickey, about when you think about it, we've just found La Mancha to the south.
Well, that's the one
so we go from La Mancha all the way to Pilares. It's about 17 kilometers now. So see, we've even grown it since the last time we chatted.
So here's the question I want to ask. So you've got 35 kilometers of strike length here on this thing, and you've only explored, well, you know there are occurrences over half of. Why'd you stake it? Do you see that structure in air photos? Do you have any indications that it continues?
Absolutely. So what we've done, 2 things, is we basically, what's so nice about this deposit is it daylights. As you know, the old El Tigre mine, most of our drilling is collared in the mineralization.
Right.
So we've been able to follow that and map it on the ground all the way from Pilares to the north. Pilares, very interesting, we've been underground. There was a small mine around the same time that fed ore down to the main mine. They took 5 million ounces of very high-grade silver there. So we start there. We then have found the Chula vein. That's a new discovery. It runs for about 2 kilometers. Into what we've talked about, Fundadora and Cayley, the main deposit, the step out at Gold Hill, and then all the way, we've been on the ground, mapped and sampled it, all the way down to Chula, which was another large underground working, where basically that they basically mined for about 1 kilometer, and then the furthest one down is another 2 kilometers, another large structure. But the real nice thing we got, which you'll love, being a guy who was in Mexico for a long time, is we've recently acquired all of the geochem for that 18-kilometer section that was done by Anaconda way back in the day.
Oh yeah, you got out of Laramie, right?
Out of Laramie. Dave went to Wyoming. But what Dave's done now is they've digitized it all, and they've actually put all of these results onto our maps. And if over that 18 kilometers, the way this geochem...
I want to look at your maps. I'm going to
send you that stuff. Okay. But really, this is a big mineral system, and that's really the person's, you know, it's for a small company, it's large. We got to tend to our knitting in the center, but we'll get out there in due course, and we're mapping and sampling it all now. Okay, so let's talk, kind of wrap this thing up and talk about your plans going forward and maybe some catalysts that you expect to happen in 2018. So really where we are right now is we took a little break for September. We're back on the mountain about mid-October, and we are mapping and sampling north and south. We're going to start to do a little bit of PEA type work. I'm not going to tell everybody we're going to focus on that pit. That's just a starter pit. We'll get Golder to do a little pit design. We'll start looking at the economics of bringing in some of the water from the reservoir that's close, or the power lines that run up to those big copper mines. And you got road access. I know that. We jump in the trucks in Hermosillo in the morning. We drive right to site early afternoon. Or I can drive to Agua Prieta, and I'm only 90 kilometers away. We've talked about that. We're going to get you down there. So from my side, what we're going to do is basically we're going to, concentrate on that a little bit. We'll do a little bit more drilling in the new year to fill in that. There's more ounces in that pit. The grade will come up a bit. There'll be a few more ounces. We're going to fill in Gold Hill, the 500-meter step out. We didn't get any sort of credit for the Sui vein in that. No holes in it, but we're going to put some holes in that. But really, we're concentrated to the north. We're back drilling there now. We're going to do a 10 to 15 hole program between now and Christmas, when everybody goes home for the break in Mexico. And we're going to really be very strategic. We hit hole 144 was our last hole. We've already delivered our next hole. We drilled it 10 days ago. The results came out last week on the Cayley. We're going to step out north and south about 25 meters. The first one was very important, Mickey, and its press release last week, in that we hit about a meter, about 10 grams of gold, almost 3 kilos of silver, so that high grade's there, but it was the first indication that we're not only looking for the high grade. Remember the old mine, we drilled off a depleted mine, and the halo around it had all that disseminated gold. What we're hunting for to the north is, we're pretty sure we got those high grade. Is that LT grade structure going to hold that disseminated gold? So it's an open pit potential, like the 43-101 we delivered to the south. And we got 26 meters of almost 2 grams in that hole 145. So that was very important. It's proving proving the theory that as we go north, we're going to see not only the high-grade veins, but the disseminated gold.
Okay. Well, folks, there you have it. Thanks a lot for
Mickey,
all the information.
that was fantastic.
That
it
was
so nice
fun.
to see you again.
Yep, likewise. And folks, take a look at Oceana Resources. I think there's really good exploration potential. We know that Mexico, this is at the end of the Sierra Madres. That belt's produced a lot of gold and silver over the years. Yeah. And anyway, thanks a lot for listening and watching, and ciao for now.
Beautiful. Thanks, boys.
Thank you.
That's good. Mickey, I enjoyed that. That was a lot.